welcome back. I'm Allie and this is Kev.
Hey, how's it going?
We are sitting here today. It's a beautiful spring day. Can you hear the geese and the birds and the ducks? Things are coming alive in Alberta, and our yard projects are one of those things. So right now we are working on the garden, working on the chicken coop, and now
We got another food forest that we're putting in. So what was it, February? We decided that we were going to do a pear fruit guild, and we got on the web, found a nice little place to order some trees from, and guess what? They're showing up in the next couple of days.
So, listen, this is what happens when you live in Alberta and it's a long, cold winter. You start dreaming about summer projects that you don't necessarily have time or energy to do, but you do them anyway, right, hon?
Yeah, you bet. So
Anyhow, this time, if you've seen our previous video on our first food forest, you'll remember that what we had bought potted plants, and we basically bare rooted them. So when they arrived, we took the time to spray all the soil, all the potting soil off of the tree roots, and we planted them so that we could spread their roots through the planting hole and ensure a better take rate. And it worked phenomenally. Like, things are coming alive over in the food forest, the first food forest, and it's really exciting to see because we had a bitterly cold winter. Like, it was minus 45 Celsius, ambient air temperature before the wind chill, and I think almost all the trees made it. There's one that we were stretching our zone that I'm not sure, but it's still pretty early to tell. But this time we thought, okay, well, we did all that extra work, why don't we try to plant bare root this time? So this time we ordered our trees from Wiffletree out in Ontario. We picked all cold hardy varieties for our zone 3 climate, and they're all bare root. So we're really looking forward to the ease of that, really.
no, exactly. So what's next is, if you can see behind us, we got another thicket of bush just kind of on the edge of our property. And, we've talked to our neighbors, and they're fine with us kind of cleaning up the underbrush a little bit into their property. And then we're going to plant a pear guild with, what else we got in there, honey? Sea buckthorns.
We got some buckthorns. I do believe we have elderberry, some
gooseberry, I believe.
Gooseberry,
and then
some
we'll probably
currants, I think, currants.
And then I think we may put a couple haskaps in
Yeah.
there. Like you said, we still, on the smaller bushes, we're still kind of deciding what we're going to do. But the pear trees are what's going to be kind of the anchor of this food forest here. So
We're pretty excited, actually. So our pear trees, we got 4 different varieties. 2 are early bloomers and 2 are later bloomers. So we should almost have 2 flushes of fruit, hopefully, to help kind of stem the problems that you get when everything becomes due at once and you go, oh no, what do I do with all this fruit? So hopefully by splitting it and having some earlier, like late August ready and some September ready fruit, Hello, woodpecker.
There's the woodpecker.
Hopefully that just kind of helps us when we're preserving and storing our fruits.
Yeah, you bet. So what we're going to do today is my skid steer. Actually, last week I was just finishing off getting ready for do some touches on the coop, and I sprung a little bit of a hydraulic leak. So I had to shut that down. I was in clay, so everything was just packed full of mud. And what did it take me? About 6 hours
6?
with the pressure washer.
6?
Maybe.
I would think 6 on each day.
Yeah, so either way, like I said, it was a long time of cleaning the machine. Finally got to it. It was on the back side where I couldn't get to it with kind of the setup I had. So we just had to bring it in the shop, get a quick hydraulic leak fixed, and picking that up later this afternoon. And then I'm going to come in here after we take it off. We got some electrical running to a light.
For our toboggan hill.
For our toboggan hill, yeah.
Which, stand by, I'll show you a clip of Kevin's amazing toboggan hill.
I'm trying.
Go, Kevin!
If I fall, Dad, you have to hold on to me. Hold on to me.
There we go.
Dad, I'm gonna
And then after that, once that's out of the way, I'm going to probably come in here with the skid steer and just take probably 12 inches up of this grass and the bush behind me. And then the plan is we have some other great neighbors next to us that mulched a bunch of trees that turned into some great soil. So we're going to go grab some soil from them, and that's what we're going to use to put on top of our trees. So
Yeah, honestly, if you can make a relationship with your neighbors, it's the bomb. Like we have our neighbors down the road that mulch trees. They hooked us up with all the mulch we needed for our first food forest. So that was an absolute blessing, and they didn't even want it. So we hit a jackpot there.
yeah, we're like, start the car,
Yeah.
start the car.
We started the car, yeah. And then our neighbor on this north side here, he's excellent. He's not using this little patch on his property, so he was very, very accommodating with us, asking if we could just clean out some of the understory, because as you can see behind us here, it's pretty thick and dense. So we just want to clean it out a little bit to make harvesting a little bit easier when we're kind of looping around our trees. And other than that, yeah, like this portion of the yard is very unused because it's the farthest away from the house. It's the farthest away from everything because it's right on the property line, really. So it made sense that this spot that gets pretty reasonable sun all day would turn into something that feeds us, I would think.
Yeah, we're looking forward to see what it can bring. So we're gonna get at her pretty quick. All right, so we got all the stuff that we had to do by hand. The posts are out, the barbed wire's out, we got it all rolled up. So we're gonna get ready to go to town here, grab the skid steer.
And our trees. We just got word that our trees are in town today, so we need to pick them up because it's tree day. When we get back, Kevin's gonna hop in the skid steer and move some dirt, and I'm gonna lay down in the grass and die. I had the 24-hour flu yesterday, and it has not completely left my system, so I'm gonna take her easy while Kevin does the dirt work.
Well, we got Stella and Allison just dogging it on the ground. Bunch of slackers doing nothing.
Real nice. It is the afternoon. I zipped into town because I just couldn't wait till later today to pick up our trees. It is kind of wild to me that we have like 15 trees in this box, hey?
Yeah, you bet. Last year when we went and got our trees, we had them come on, a pallet? There was, 25 of them? So a little bit different, showing up on a pallet, full in pots with soil.
Yeah, totally different. I would say this is way more convenient.
Oh, 100%. Swing by the old mailbox and grab them, and away we go.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, worked out good.
So, are you as anxious to look inside as we are? Ooh. Okay, so they are not all bare root. We did get 2 small haskap trees in pots. So here's one, and here's another.
And then here's the smaller kind of shrubs, trees there, honey.
Okay, so this bundle has probably, what would you say, 8 or 9 in here?
8 or 9 in there for sure.
Okay, so we have a haskap, an elderberry, a sea buckthorn, another haskap. Okay, can you tell we love haskaps in this house?
Yeah, so we had our power off for the afternoon, and we had my speaker outside that we usually listen to music on, and it just powered on. So
Woo! Don't have to worry about the eggs in the incubator anymore.
you bet.
Okay, back to what I was saying. So, we love haskaps. If you don't have haskaps, you should absolutely get them. They are cold hardy and they are delicious. They kind of taste like a little bit like a blueberry, maybe mixed with something. I don't know. They're kind of tart. The one thing you do have to be aware of is that the birds absolutely love haskaps. So you either have netting or you have 2 kids like us that beat the birds out to them. So anyways, haskaps. You should put that on your must-buy list. It looks like I have a University of Saskatchewan cherry bush in here, and I think there are a couple of little gooseberry bushes in here, which I wanted to try out. Ooh. And then in this bundle, we have a female sea buckthorn to go with the male that was in that bundle. We like sea buckthorns because they are nitrogen fixers. So it's really nice to have a plant or 2 in the guild that help to fix nitrogen because it's basically free fertilizer. So I have a European pear, the Pear. I don't know how to say it. Pear. It's French. Sorry, the Pear Giffard. I have a Russian pear called True and Faithful. I have a European pear called Summer Crisp and another European pear called the Flemish Beauty. So that's pretty much all of the plants that came in this box, and it was like absolutely surprising to me that 15 plants could fit into a box like this. But yeah, so we're just gonna make sure that the roots stay nice and moist so that we don't dry out and kill our trees, because even though they're dormant, they're still alive. If they dry out, they will die. So we got about, what, couple days?
2 days, yeah. I got tomorrow. I'll go pick up my skid steer first thing in the morning, come out. I'm gonna take the topsoil and all the old brush, level that out, and if I need a little bit of clay to kind of touch it up, that'll be it. And then we'll bring in all that nice topsoil that we got from our neighbors. So we'll be looking forward to getting these in, getting them watered, and see what they'll give to us here in a couple years for fruit. So
yeah. Look who's home! We are glad to have our skid steer back. You never realize how much you use a piece of heavy equipment like this until you start these big projects, and how convenient it is to have something to do so much of your manual labor. We are very fortunate to have this tool at our disposal, so we absolutely use it whenever possible. I might point out, this is the only time you will ever see Kevin's skid steer on Kevin's grass. So, take note. Now, he has set himself up a rough border, like a rough guideline here, for how we want our food forest shape to look. And he's gonna come in with the skid steer and excavate about 12 to 16 inches below grade of the sod. And that way when we backfill with the soil, we're gonna be borrowing from the neighbors. It's not borrowing, we're not borrowing, we're taking it, we're using it. Anyway, when we backfill it with the soil, it will be approximately level with the sod so that we don't have a whole lot of height difference, because we do also need to add a bunch of mulch on top of the food forest. So I'm gonna set up a quick time lapse and we can see all the magic that happens in a real hurry. I'd like the record to reflect that it was a lot more work to lay that sod than to tear it up, but that's okay, because it's for good reason. You can't eat the grass. Do you know that feeling when life's going too good, things are going too easy, and then bam, the skid steer's back on the trailer heading back to the shop? It is day 3 of the Pear Guild project, and the fun stuff happens today. Right, Kevy?
you bet. We're ready to plant these beautiful trees we have sitting next to us. So we're climaxing. Today is the day. It's here.
Yeah. So we were hoping to have these planted by the end of last week, and it is now Sunday. And you know what? Things don't always go according to plan. As you saw, we had some mechanical issues with the skid steer. And then actually over this weekend here was our annual camping trip. So every year our friends, they come and they camp in our driveway basically, and we have an absolute blast. We have a yearly croquet tournament, and that was not a game that I won today. Kevin?
No, me neither, but we had some good news there. We got right in the prime of hockey season up here in Canada, so our team's in the playoffs. Good old Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
And it was game 7, do or die, and they came through with the big W, so we're on to round 2, so that's exciting for us. We don't get too much playoff action happening too often.
Yeah.
We'll leave that story for another day.
It can be...
We suck usually.
It could be painful to be an Oilers fan. Okay, so now I did mention that we were delayed on planting our trees. Now that is an important thing to note. So ideally you will plant your bare root trees as soon as you receive them in the mail, but unfortunately life always throws a curveball, and that happens. So what you should do if you cannot plant your bare root trees immediately upon receiving them is keep them cool. So keep them in a cold basement or an unheated garage that stays like ideally around 4 degrees Celsius, out of the sun, out of the heat, and they will stay in their dormant state. And then when you're ready to plant, hopefully it's within a few days of receiving them, they'll be good to go. Now, right now, we actually have our trees in buckets. So we took them out of the box a little bit earlier and we put them in some fresh, clean water to stimulate the roots and to get them a good drink before we pop them into the soil here. And yeah, we're pretty much ready. We have to get out my favorite tool. Hey, Kev?
Yeah, the good old string line's gonna rear its ugly head again.
The square.
Yeah, and the square. So yeah, like usual, we have as our other fruit forest that we did, this number 3, we have it kind of plot planned inside. So we know where we planted everything. So we got our list with us.
Yep.
And we'll get the string line out, mark off our first couple trees, and we'll look to get them into the ground.
Yeah, and so this food forest, or this fruit pear guild that we're doing here, we're actually doing it a little bit different than the other ones. Those ones we planted sequentially through the food forest because it worked best for us to do it that way. This one here, because we cannot use the machinery to bring in the fill once we start planting our tree, or to bring in, sorry, the mulch, once we start planting the trees due to its location, we're actually going to anchor. We're going to use our 4 pear trees as an anchor, and then we're going to work around those to fill in the other ones. And we're going to see how that goes. It may be easier actually to do it that way. Who knows? So we'll let you know.
Down to our last tree. We got 1 hascap left, but we thought we'd just take a quick moment here to show you the soil that we brought in. So our neighbor had mulched a bunch of trees, and this has been sitting for the last 2-3 years, and it's had a chance to decompose. And you can just see how nice of a soil this is. So we're very happy. We call it the black gold.
We're super pumped.
And we're excited to see how our trees turn out. So
okay, so we just thought we'd run through the planting of that one's got a group. Of course, we saved it for last. Okay, so this is a bare root tree. As you can see, they don't look like much. Some of those pear trees we picked up, they look like a freaking broomstick with maybe some roots on it. This guy, we're going to put him in the hole. We're going to spread the roots as best we can. Some of them are pretty fibrous, so we're not going to, bend them too much. We're just going to spread it in there so it's happy. And I'm sure you noticed in the time lapse that we used the shovel. That's a trick that we figured out from our last food forest planting, is if you lay the shovel handle over the hole, it will tell you approximately what is grade level, so then you know exactly where to plant your root ball, how deep to go. So Kev's just gonna pop it in there for me, and then I just drop the tree in, wait, and then we're just going to backfill it.
Okay, well, that's a wrap for food forest number 3. Pear Guild is in. What do you think, hon?
I am pretty impressed. Okay, so initial thoughts.
I dig the bare roots.
I absolutely dig the bare root trees.
Yeah.
Next thought, I like how we plotted our anchor trees and then the rest we went by feel.
Yeah.
I think that made it go way faster than the last time when we had a pretty rigid chart, like really.
Yeah, we had our plot plan that we were following and we pretty much stuck to it to a T. But yeah, this time it worked out good. Being a pear guild, we got our 4 pear trees, and then we put the 2 sea buckthorns, and then after that we just kind of plucked everything to make it kind of look nice.
Yeah, and it felt good.
Yeah.
Like it went smooth, it went quickly. It was maybe more efficient than the last time.
Other than the few times we disagreed where the one sea buckthorn was supposed to go. But other than that, it's good to go.
We are actually expecting some hot weather today. Actually, I think I got my first sunburn of the year today. And some rain next week, like a lot of rain, so that'll be perfect. I am super excited to see these trees kind of get established and bud out. I think that we have a really good base, and this soil that we have is just so awesome. It's got so much organic matter and it's so alive. There is earthworms and microbes and like all the good stuff that you could ever want in dirt, and we got it, and I am super pumped. So we will what do you think? We'll do another video when
we'll do a video here in a couple weeks after we mulch it, and then we'll once everything starts to bud out and we get a feel for the trees, we'll come back and do a follow-up video to see how everything's coming in.
Yeah, and I think it might be fun too to do a video on how I'm going to include some annual plants in here. Yeah. So I went a little hog wild when I was seeding this winter because it was a long cold winter, and I have 65 tomato seedlings or transplants to get out into the garden, and they will not fit. So I was going to actually place some in this food forest here because it gets so much amazing sun throughout the day. So I'm gonna come back and we'll show, even maybe I'm gonna put some pumpkins and some other awesome like vining plants in the food forest here too, to give it like a great ground cover, and it'll be kind of cool to see how annual plants can intermingle with like a perennial garden like a food forest.
You bet. So we'll see how that kind of comes together over the next month or so, and yeah, this is going to be a wrap for
this project.
You bet. Food forest number 3 done.
Yeah, well, we'll see you with the next project.
You bet, which will be sooner rather than later.
It'll be tomorrow.
It will be tomorrow.
It will be tomorrow.